We can discuss the humanitarian needs of Palestinians with Ahmed Bayram, the Middle East spokesperson for the Norwegian Refugee Council. He's joining us from Amman in Jordan. Ahmed, it's always good to have you on the program. Firstly, just talk us through your organization's efforts to get aid into Gaza, because there are so many humanitarian organizations that have aid, it's ready to go, they just can't get into the enclave.
And that's exactly what we are going through right now. The Norwegian Refugee Council, which I represent, has the potential, has enough aid to fill 180 trucks to bring in very much needed items. I'm talking about 5,000 tents for people. That's enough, for each tent can be enough for a family, can host a family. At the same time, we have thousands of cleaning items, 30,000 cleaning items that are very much needed everywhere you go in Gaza. People looking for something to clean whatever remained of their house, or to provide some sanitation. At the same time, we are in Gaza. We haven't stopped, of course, providing aid. We have been providing clean water for people, thousands of them. But of course, with the restrictions and with the bombing of Gaza City, everything has become much more difficult. You are talking about a disaster zone, and that's why we need all 7 crossings to open so that aid can gush into Gaza.
And right now, there are only about 2 that are open. And under the ceasefire deal, 600 trucks are meant to enter Gaza every day. We know that famine was declared in the northern parts of Gaza. It was set to spread if the war didn't end. Once hundreds of trucks do actually enter with that aid, how long will it take to alleviate these famine-like conditions?
I mean, before we discuss how long, and probably it will take months to reverse that long-sitting famine, because obviously you're talking about children facing death, and they can't be treated with a bowl of rice or a bag of bread. But even before that, we should look at that 600 figure, because it might, and I think it will, definitely include other types of trucks. I heard you talk about that with your correspondent in Gaza, and indeed they will include commercial trucks, they will include state-sponsored trucks. Now, of course, we need those to come in thick and fast to bring down prices, and like any market in the world. But we need, first and foremost, whatever can save lives. And that is not being allowed in quantities, in sufficient quantities yet. I'm talking not just about flour and water. I'm talking about cooking gas. I'm talking about fuel. I'm talking about education. I'm talking about malnourishment treatment for children, equipment. All of these tools and these are the game changers that can reverse the situation of famine, destruction, and displacement.
Yeah, that's so important, everything you've just outlined, because we often think of aid of just being the basics of food, water, and shelter, especially now in the coming months when it is set to get colder in Gaza. These are going to be so vital, considering that since March, I believe, no aid really has been able to enter. What do people in Gaza actually have right now, especially those who have been displaced from the north countless times? They're now returning to Gaza City, but what are they going back to and with?
Nothing. Literally nothing. I can tell you about the experience of the people we work with, the experience of my colleagues. I was on the phone last night to one of my colleagues who was telling me that besides clearing the rubble in some collective shelters, there's literally nothing that people are going back to. It's a very good point, actually. You talk about rain. Rain, when it rains in Gaza, it's not like when it rains in any other city in the world, because the place, there are 85% of people there living, 10 meters or less from an open sewage, which means any rain could potentially be a disaster, could flood the place, like tents, like collective shelters, etc. So we're not talking about a normal situation here. And I keep saying we have to rebuild human lives, really. Human life there has disappeared by this Israeli war machine. And I think it's going to take probably a generation really to reverse that. People are going back to nothing, absolutely nothing. They have lost all of their job, their family, their loved ones, their schooling, their hospitals, and now they need all the support they can get to rebuild that life from, I would say, below scratch even.
Absolutely. Ahmed Bayram, good to get your take from the Norwegian Refugee Council. Much appreciated.